Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is directed by George Miller and is the prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, which came out in 2015. And this movie stars Anna Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. And I saw this movie last night. I was really excited for this film. I was patiently waiting for the next Mad Max film after Mad Max Fury Road, and I was really happy with this movie. I thought it was really, really good and one of the best prequel movies I've ever seen in my life, and I'll explain why. So, Furiosa has always been a pretty interesting character. She was a very well-liked character. Mad Max Fury Road, she basically was the one that made the movie, and it's interesting to see her backstory in this movie, and like and just like her story of like how she became the Imperator, the warrior woman that everybody loves. And also, the great thing about this movie in particular is that it's much more focused on like story and characters than in Mad Max Fury Road. Because I mean, the whole point of Mad Max Fury Road was, the whole idea behind that movie is that it was at the first point, it was supposed to be an action movie with very long chases and just focused on action and car chases, and the story was secondary. And I mean, of course, still Fury Road had a story because, I mean, every movie needs a story. If Fury Road was just started with the action sequences, or just the action sequences, then people would think it would be really stupid and pointless because it didn't have a story. But anyway, this movie is more focused on the characters, the history of the location of the wasteland, and also this time it was also shot in Australia, which is really cool because in Fury Road, as probably many of you know, there was a massive downpour of rain on the Australian desert, and all these flowers were like growing. And even though it was called What a Lovely Day, the tagline for Fury Road, apparently in Miller's eyes, the flowers were perhaps a little bit too lovely for the shoot, and it ruined it, so they had to move to Namibia, South Africa to film the movie. While in this case, this entire movie is completely Australian. It is the highest budget for any Australian film ever made. I think last time I checked it was $270 million, while Mad Max Fury Road was $150 million, so it's almost twice the budget of Mad Max Fury Road. And it does show the sets in this movie look a lot better than they did in Mad Max Fury Road. For like Fury Road, I mean, there was a citadel, of course, and it all looked great, but most of it was just out in the desert, basically, with hardly anything to look at. It was just sand, and more sand. While in this movie, there is a lot more to see. There are more locations. There's the bullet farm. They also like show the green place for like 5 minutes, and then you never see it again, which is a bit of a shame. But also, Chris Hemsworth in this movie is really good as well. This is the first time I've ever seen Chris Hemsworth as a villain, and he's actually done a really good job with this role. He's very he's really savage. He really has this really scummy sounding voice, and he's just really seedy and really evil, and he's just like the alpha male psychopath, basically, that everybody in the wasteland follows because he is the only one who knows how to like run shit in like the wasteland. But also he does a lot of terrible things to Furiosa, and Furiosa over time gets consumed by revenge, as this is a revenge-fueled story, and she exacts revenge on Chris Hemsworth Dementis, and does something really horrible to him, which is kind of what I expected the character would do anyway. I mean, this is not a story about hope and forgiveness. This is a story about the deepest depravities of human instinct and desolation, the wasteland, anarchy, psychopathy, all the terrible things about humanity are in this movie. So if you like that, watch this movie. But overall, the action was also really good. It didn't have as much action in it as Mad Max Fury Road did, but I didn't really see that much as a problem, as it wasn't trying to be Fury Road trying to be a carbon copy of the concept of that movie. This was a very different type of Mad Max movie, but the action in it was still really good. There were still a few lengthy car chases that were very well shot and well directed. I did notice quite a lot more CGI in this movie than I did in Mad Max Fury Road. I noticed that a lot of the explosions in this movie did look pretty fake, while every explosion in Mad Max Fury Road was real, including like just blowing up cars, the massive tanker explosion. There wasn't really that in this movie. It was a lot more focused on... I mean, there was some good stunt work, and there were some very well-planned stunts. There were some hang gliders and some parachute stunts that were good. Not really any dive bombers in this movie like in Fury Road. But yeah, the abundance of so much of all the CGI explosions was a little bit disappointing to me, but everything else was still really good. As I said, I did like the story of this movie more than Fury Road. I did like the characters. I liked the villain more. Dementis actually felt like he actually had something to say, while Immortan Joe in the last movie was kind of just there to be big and mean and intimidating, and he didn't really have much depth to his overall character, while Dementis did have a bit more of that. Overall, Furiosa was also a good character, if a very vengeance driven character. There's a massive exploration into the darker side of human emotion and instinct in this movie, which is interesting to see. Overall, I had a really good time with Furiosa. It's also going to do wonders for the Australian film industry, so which is great. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I was close to giving a 10 out of 10, but the more reliance on CGI is what pulled it back from a 10 to me. But overall, this was still very much worth seeing, and if you want to see this movie, I highly encourage that you do support the Australian film industry by booking a ticket to watch this movie. It helps the industry, it helps the directors, the actors, everybody who are working their asses off to make movies like this to be seen and to be enjoyed. So overall, I highly recommend that you go see it. So anyway, that's my opinion review of Furiosa Mad Max Saga. Hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and as always, take care. Thank you.